Hello, my friend. I'm glad you are here. Tonight we will journey far back in time to the 6th century BC, when the world was filled with mystery and the stars above seemed to whisper secrets to those who listened. It was an age of philosophers, travelers, and seekers of wisdom, and among them, one name would be remembered for centuries: Pythagoras. Before we begin, if you enjoy these stories, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Your support means so much to me, and it allows me to bring more stories like this. Now, take a deep breath. Inhale slowly and let it out. Feel the weight of the day fade away, replaced by a deep and gentle calm. Let your body relax. Let your mind drift as we step into a world of wonder where numbers hold secrets and the universe itself hums with harmony. It was around the year 570 BC when a child was born on the Greek island of Samos. The island lay in the shimmering waters of the Aegean Sea, its white stone houses glowing beneath the golden sun. The salty breeze carried the scent of olive trees and the distant sound of waves, rising and falling like the breath of the earth itself. The streets of Samos were filled with life, merchants calling out their wares, children running through the narrow paths, and travelers bringing news from lands far beyond the horizon. It was a place of trade, of stories, of knowledge, a place where ideas were valued like treasures. And in the heart of this island, a boy opened his eyes for the first time. His name was Pythagoras. Pythagoras was born into a family that was neither poor nor of great nobility, but one that held knowledge and craftsmanship in high regard. His father, Nesarchus, was a merchant, a man who traveled far beyond the shores of Samos, trading goods, seeking fortune, and bringing back stories from distant lands. Some said he dealt in gems, rare and glistening stones that carried the colors of the earth and sky. Others whispered that he was a man of wisdom, one who valued learning as much as wealth. His mother, Pythia, was a woman of grace and intelligence. In their home, she created a world of warmth, where the glow of oil lamps cast long, soft shadows on the walls, and the scent of bread and honey filled the air. Some believed she came from a noble lineage, while others simply saw in her the strength of a woman who shaped her son's mind with patience and care. Their home was not extravagant, but it was comfortable. A courtyard lay at its center, where the wind carried the scent of citrus trees, and the gentle murmur of a small fountain could be heard on quiet evenings. Here, beneath the endless sky, Pythagoras would listen to the voices of his parents, his father's tales of distant lands, and his mother's words of wisdom, spoken softly beneath the flickering light of the stars. Even as a child, there was something different about him. He did not only hear the stories his father told, he pondered them. He did not only watch the stars, he studied them. Numbers, patterns, the rhythm of the world around him, these things fascinated him. And as he grew, so too did his thirst for knowledge. From the moment Pythagoras could walk, his parents noticed something different about him. While other children played in the streets, chasing each other through the dusty roads of Samos, he would sit quietly beneath the shade of an olive tree, tracing shapes in the dirt with his fingers. He was not a boy of loud laughter or reckless games. He was thoughtful, always observing, always questioning. His father, Nesarchus, watched him with a mix of pride and curiosity. He had traveled far, seen many people, and spoken with wise men, but even he was amazed by his son's mind. When Pythagoras was still very young, Nesarchus visited the oracle of Delphi, seeking guidance for his family. The priestess, shrouded in sacred smoke, spoke of a great destiny. She told him that his son would one day become a man of wisdom, one who would change the way people understood the world. From that moment, Menazarchus knew that Pythagoras was not meant for an ordinary life. His mother, Pythagoras, was filled with love for her son, but also with a quiet sense of awe. She had seen other boys of his age, restless, impatient, eager for adventure. Pythagoras, however, was different. He asked questions that even the elders struggled to answer. He saw patterns in the stars, in the waves, in the way birds move through the sky. She often watched him at night, standing in the courtyard, his eyes lifted toward the heavens, lost in thought. There were whispers that Pythagoras had siblings, though little is recorded of them. If he did, they did not share his deep curiosity for the mysteries of the world. While they may have followed their father's trade or lived ordinary lives, Pythagoras seemed destined for something greater. Even as a child, he would listen intently to the conversations of scholars, absorbing their words as if they were precious treasures. He was not a boy who simply accepted the world as it was. He wanted to understand it, to see beyond what others saw. His parents could feel it, the weight of something vast and unseen resting upon his young shoulders. And so they did not try to change him. Instead, they nurtured his curiosity, allowing him the freedom to think, to wonder, to dream. As Pythagoras grew, his thirst for knowledge became possible to ignore. While other boys learned only what was necessary for daily life, how to measure grain, how to trade, how to work with their hands, Pythagoras sought more. He asked questions that had no simple answers. Why did the stars move as they did? Why did some sounds feel pleasant while others clashed? Why did numbers seem to hold secrets beyond mere counting? His father, Menazarchus, knew that ordinary schooling would not be enough. If his son was destined for greatness, he needed to learn from the wisest men of the time. And so Pythagoras was sent to study under some of the finest teachers in Samos. He first learned from the local scholars, who taught him about poetry, music, and the legends of the god. But while the other boys recited verses from memory, Pythagoras sought to understand the rhythm behind the word. He listened carefully to the rise and fall of syllables, sensing a hidden order within them. Then came his lessons in arithmetic and geometry. This was where his mind truly came alive. He did not see numbers as mere tools for counting, but as something deeper, something sacred. To him, numbers were the language of the universe, the invisible thread connecting all things. His teachers were astounded. When given a problem, he did not simply solve it. He explored it, stretched it, turned it upside down. He would stay awake at night, staring at patterns drawn in the sand, tracing lines in the air with his fingers. It was as if he could see something others could not. But learning was not just about numbers. Pythagoras also studied music, discovering that certain sounds were not random, but followed precise mathematical relationships. He found harmony in the strings of a lyre, in the echo of footsteps against stone, in the rhythm of the ocean's wave. His hunger for knowledge led him to new teachers, including Pherecydes of Syros, a philosopher who spoke of the soul and the unseen forces that governed life. From him, Pythagoras learned that wisdom was not just about numbers or shapes, but about understanding the world's hidden truth. Yet, despite his brilliance, Pythagoras was not arrogant. He was kind and thoughtful, a boy who listened more than he spoke. He made few but deep friendships, drawn to those who shared his curiosity. Among them were students who, like him, wished to see beyond the ordinary. The island of Samos, though beautiful, began to feel small. He had learned much, but he sensed that true wisdom lay beyond the horizon. And so, as he grew into a young man, the longing took root in his heart, a desire to travel, to seek out the greatest minds of his time, to uncover the mysteries that had called to him since childhood. As Pythagoras grew, his thirst for knowledge became impossible to ignore. While other boys learned only what was necessary for daily life, how to measure grain, how to trade, how to work with their hands, Pythagoras sought more. He asked questions that had no simple answers. Why did the stars move as they did? Why did some sounds feel pleasant while others clashed? Why did numbers seem to hold secrets beyond mere counting? His father, Nizarchus, knew that ordinary schooling would not be enough. If his son was destined for greatness, he needed to learn from the wisest men of the time. And so Pythagoras was sent to study under some of the finest teachers in Samos. He first learned from the local scholars, who taught him about poetry, music, and the legends of the god. But while the other boys recited verses from memory, Pythagoras sought to understand the rhythm behind the word. He listened carefully to the rise and fall of syllables, sensing a hidden order within them. Then came his lessons in arithmetic and geometry. This was where his mind truly came alive. He did not see numbers as mere tools for counting, but as something deeper, something sacred. To him, numbers were the language of the universe, the invisible thread connecting all things. His teachers were astounded. When given a problem, he did not simply solve it. He explored it, stretched it, turned it upside down. He would stay awake at night, staring at patterns drawn in the sand, tracing lines in the air with his fingers. It was as if he could see something others could not. But learning was not just about numbers. Pythagoras also studied music, discovering that certain sounds were not random, but followed precise mathematical relations. He found harmony in the strings of a lyre, in the echo of footsteps against stone, in the rhythm of the ocean's waves. His hunger for knowledge led him to new teachers, including Pherecydes of Syros, a philosopher who spoke of the soul and the unseen forces that govern life. From him, Pythagoras learned that wisdom was not just about numbers or shapes, but about understanding the world's hidden truth. Yet, despite his brilliance, Pythagoras was not arrogant. He was kind and thoughtful, a boy who listened more than he spoke. He made few but deep friendships, drawn to those who shared his curiosity. Among them were students who, like him, wished to see beyond the ordinary, to grasp something greater than what was visible. Still, there was a restlessness in him. The island of Samos, though beautiful, began to feel small. He had learned much, but he sensed that true wisdom lay beyond the horizon. And so, as he grew into a young man, a longing took root in his heart. A desire to travel, to seek out the greatest minds of his time, to uncover the mysteries that had called to him since childhood. As Pythagoras reached adulthood, the world of Samos could no longer contain his restless mind. He had learned all he could from his teachers on the island, but he sensed that true wisdom lay elsewhere, beyond the shores, beyond the familiar. The greatest knowledge, the deepest truths, these were scattered across the lands, waiting to be gathered like precious pearls. And so, with his father's blessing and the curiosity that had burned in him since childhood, Pythagoras set out on a journey. It was not a journey of wealth or conquest, but one of learning, a path guided by the stars and the whispers of ancient wisdom, the journey to Egypt. His first great destination was Egypt. In those days, Egypt was a land of mystery, a kingdom of towering temples and ancient scrolls where knowledge was passed down through the priesthood. To learn from the Egyptian priests was to drink from the oldest wells of wisdom. Their knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and sacred rituals stretched back for centuries, guarded and preserved in the great temples along the Nile. Pythagoras arrived in Egypt with the heart of a student. He did not demand to be taught. He humbled himself before the priests, seeking initiation into their sacred school. It was not easy. The Egyptian temples did not accept just anyone. To be allowed into their mysteries, one had to prove discipline, patience, and a willingness to undergo deep study. For years, Pythagoras lived among the priests, absorbing their teaching. He learned geometry, not as a simple tool but as a divine language, a key to understanding the universe itself. He studied the movements of the heavens, the way the stars traced their eternal paths across the sky. He observed how numbers seemed to shape the world, how proportions and harmonies governed both nature and man. But Egypt did not only teach him numbers, it taught him a way of thinking, a belief that knowledge was not just about solving problems, but about seeking truth, about understanding the hidden order of the universe. A student of many lands, Egypt was not the end of his journey. Some say that he traveled even farther, venturing to Babylon, the great city of Mesopotamia. The Babylonians were master astronomers, recording the movements of planets and stars with incredible precision. They had charts of the night sky that stretched back centuries, filled with patterns and cycles unknown to most of the world. There, Pythagoras is said to have learned the secrets of numbers in ways even the Egyptians had not revealed. The Babylonians understood numbers as more than just tools for measurement. They saw them as symbols of the cosmos, as forces that governed time, space, and destiny. Some legends even claim that he traveled to India, where he studied with the wise men of the East. The philosophies of India spoke of the soul's journey, of rebirth, and the eternal nature of existence. These ideas would later shape Pythagoras' own beliefs, leading him to teach that the soul was immortal, moving through many lives in search of wisdom. They returned to Greece. Years passed, and Pythagoras, now a man shaped by the wisdom of many lands, felt the call to return home. He had left Samos as a young student, eager to learn. He returned as a master of many disciplines, a man who had glimpsed the order behind the chaos, who had touched the edges of a great and timeless truth. But upon his return he found that not everyone was ready for the knowledge he had brought back. Samos, with its bustling markets and familiar streets, seemed smaller now. The people admired him, but few understood him. The rulers valued power more than wisdom, and the scholars of the island were comfortable in their traditions, uninterested in new ideas. Pythagoras realized that if he was to share what he had learned, he needed to find a new home, a place where minds were open, where students would gather not just to memorize facts, but to seek a deeper understanding of the world. And so, once again, he set out on a journey, not in search of knowledge this time, but in search of a place where knowledge could grow. Around 530 BCE, after spending many years studying in Egypt and possibly Babylon, Pythagoras, now in his early 40s, returned to his birthplace, the island of Samos. He had left as a young man, eager to learn, and now he returned as a master of many disciplines. He was no longer just a curious boy who asked endless questions. He was a philosopher, a mathematician, and a seeker of truth. But Samos, though familiar, no longer felt like home. The island had changed. Or perhaps he had. The rulers were not interested in deep knowledge, and the people were occupied with trade and daily life. Pythagoras found little patience for his teaching. The journey to Croton by 530 BCE, realizing that Samos was not the right place for his ideas to flourish, Pythagoras left once more. This time, he set his sights on Croton, the Greek colony in southern Italy. He was about 45 years old when he arrived. Croton was different from Samos. It was a wealthy city, known for its strong governance and respect for wisdom. The people of Croton were eager to learn, and Pythagoras quickly gained followers. They saw him as a man of great knowledge, someone who had traveled far and returned with the secrets of the universe. The founding of the Pythagorean school. At the age of 47, Pythagoras established a school in Croton, a place where students could gather, not just to learn mathematics, but to seek a deeper understanding of life itself. But this was no ordinary school. It was more than just a place of learning. It was a way of life, almost like a brotherhood, with strict rules and deep devotion to knowledge. Pythagoras believed that mathematics was not just a tool, but a sacred language, one that revealed the hidden order of the universe. He taught his students that numbers were not just for counting. They were the foundation of everything. All is number, he would say. The members of his school followed strict rule. They believed in discipline, silence, and deep contemplation. They followed a vegetarian diet, believing that the soul was in all living beings. They practiced self-control, meditation, and the pursuit of harmony. But what made the Pythagorean school so different was that it was not just about learning facts. It was about transformation. To Pythagoras, knowledge was a path to purification, a way to elevate the soul and bring it closer to the divine. Pythagoras, though known for his deep devotion to knowledge and his almost otherworldly dedication to his teachings, did indeed have a family. At about 50 years old during his time in Croton, Pythagoras married a woman named Theano. Theano was not only the wife of Pythagoras, but also a significant figure in her own right. She was a philosopher and mathematician, much like her husband, and she played an important role in the Pythagorean school. In fact, she is often said to have contributed to the teachings of the school, and is even credited with writing some of the works that were attributed to Pythagoras. It is believed that Theano was from a noble family and shared Pythagoras' passion for knowledge. They had several children together, including at least 2 daughters, Damo and Maya, who were also involved in the Pythagorean community, and they have continued their father's teaching. Though historical records about Pythagoras' personal life are sparse, it is clear that Theano was not only his wife, but also a trusted confidante and collaborator. The relationship between Pythagoras and Theano seems to have been one of mutual respect and intellectual partnership. Despite their close bond, Pythagoras was still very much a figure dedicated to his community and his ideal. It is said that he was a deeply disciplined man, and that his marriage did not distract him from his spiritual and philosophical pursuits. The Pythagorean school, with its rules and rigorous lifestyle, meant that even Pythagoras' family life was entwined with his intellectual and spiritual goals. Thus, while Pythagoras had a family, his devotion to his school and his teachings was unwavering, and his wife, Theano, was very much a part of that world of knowledge, numbers, and spiritual discipline. As we begin this journey through time, let's take a moment to settle into the quiet rhythm of the world around us. Close your eyes if you can, and picture the world of ancient Greece, a land where the air carried the scent of the sea, where the sun shone warm and golden, and where legends were born. Now, in the midst of that world, there was a man, Pythagoras. Pythagoras. A name that still echoes through the halls of history, but his story is not simply one of numbers and shapes. No, my friend, his story is interwoven with myth and mystery, like a golden thread winding through the fabric of time. In the quiet moments of the night, when the stars twinkled like tiny jewels in the dark sky, people would speak of Pythagoras in whispers. for he was more than a man. He was something other, something divine. They say that Pythagoras wasn't born in the usual way. Oh no, he was not just the son of a human father. No, his father was none other than the god Apollo, the radiant god of the sun, music and prophecy. Imagine, if you will, the warmth of the sun kissing the earth, the golden rays wrapping around the newborn Pythagoras as he entered the world. His birth was not a simple event. It was a celestial one. It was foretold by oracles, whispers carried on the wind, promises from the gods themselves. The world knew, even then, that Pythagoras was destined for greatness. As a child, Pythagoras had an uncanny understanding of the world. The sound of strings vibrating, the melody of a harp, the delicate hum of harmony. These things made sense to him, as though he could hear the music of the universe itself. And they say it was in the quiet stillness of those moments that he discovered the secret of harmony, that deep, eternal truth that lies at the heart of all things. It wasn't just music. It was the rhythm of the cosmos. It was mathematics in its purest form. As you listen to the rhythm of the world around you now, imagine how Pythagoras, even as a young boy, must have felt that music in his soul, a song that spoke of the very structure of the universe. He was connected to something greater than himself, something vast, something infinite. This deep sense of wonder, this connection to the universe, would stay with him throughout his life. But let us not forget the legends that surrounded him. They speak of him not just as a mathematician, but as a prophet, a man who could see into the future. Picture him standing there, his eyes looking far beyond the horizon, his mind not bound by the limitations of time. The world, it seemed, was open to him in ways that others could scarcely understand. He was more than just a man. He was a bridge between the mortal and the divine. Some say Pythagoras could communicate with animals, speaking to them in a way that no one else could. Can you feel that sense of connection? That deep, mysterious bond between him and the creatures of the earth? It's as if he could hear their whispers, their soft murmurs of life, and he understood them as no other human could. Once, they say, Pythagoras stood before a slaughterhouse, and with a quiet word, he stopped the workers from killing the animals. The gentle power of his words, his voice like a breeze on a calm evening, changed the course of events. Can you hear that? The quiet hum of nature responding to his call. Ah, there was more to Pythagoras. His teachings were wrapped in secrecy, hidden in the shadows of sacred rituals. His followers, those who came to him for wisdom, regarded him not just as a teacher, but as something divine. To them, he was more than human. He was a god walking among them. And in return, Pythagoras spoke to them in the language of the soul. His words, a kind of melody that resonated deeply within their hearts. His beliefs, too, were woven with threads of the divine. Pythagoras taught that the soul was eternal, that it was on a journey of purification, seeking to become one with the divine. Can you feel the weight of those words, the deep truth that they carried? The soul, ever moving, ever growing, striving for a higher state of being, returning to the God. It was a beautiful, almost sacred understanding of the world, one that saw all life, every person, every creature, as part of a greater eternal whole. And so, in the quiet moments of the night, when the stars blinked softly above the ancient world, Pythagoras stood as a figure of both intellect and mystery, a man whose mind bridged the physical and the spiritual realms. He was the perfect harmony between the world of reason and the world of the divine. His wisdom, his teachings, were not merely academic. They were spiritual, soulful, deeply connected to the very fabric of the universe. The music of the spheres, the secret patterns of the world that he uncovered, they linger in the air. And though centuries have passed, his legend remains. For the music, mathematics, and the divine truth he spoke of, they are timeless. The world around us, so peaceful, so still, as we follow his journey, as it unravels. Like a beautiful, endless dream, we are now in the heart of his teachings, in the sacred spaces where his followers gathered, where the air was thick with mystery and devotion. Picture it now, a serene temple, bathed in the soft light of flickering candles, casting long shadows that danced like ancient spirit. The smell of incense fills the air, and there's an undeniable sense of something holy, something pure, as if the very walls whispered secrets of the universe. Pythagoras, standing in the center of this sacred space, his voice soft yet commanding, spoke to his disciples. They gathered around him in silence, their faces lit by the warm glow of the fire. His words, oh, how they resonated! Each syllable seemed to vibrate with a kind of power, a power that could reach deep into the hearts and souls of those who listened. His voice, gentle but steady, spoke of the unity of all things, everything, every star in the sky, every leaf in the wind, every ripple in the sea was connected. The universe itself was a vast, harmonious symphony, and each of them, each person, was but a note in that great song. The air, thick with anticipation, as his disciples hung on every word, seeking to understand the mysteries that he unfolded before them. There, in the quiet of that sacred space, Pythagoras was not just a teacher. He was a guide, leading them through the veils of the material world to a higher understanding. To him, mathematics was not merely numbers. Oh no, my friend, it was the very language of the divine, a sacred code that described the harmony of the cosmos, a language that could unlock the deepest secrets of existence. It was here, in this sacred space, that Pythagoras introduced his most famous teaching. The world, he said, was governed by numbers. Everything in existence, from the smallest pebble to the vastness of the stars, followed a pattern, a rhythm. These patterns, these numbers, they held the key to understanding the nature of the universe. His followers learned to see the world in a new way, a way that was so much more than what their eyes could see. They saw numbers in the flow of the river, in the symmetry of the flowers, in the precise geometry of the stars above. Each shape, each form, was a reflection of a greater truth. Imagine, if you will, a simple triangle, a shape so humble, so simple. Yet Pythagoras and his disciples saw it as something divine, a window into the very structure of reality. The Pythagorean theorem, a formula so simple, yet so profound, was but a glimpse of the divine order that governed the cosmos. Can you feel the calmness, the stillness, the peace in knowing that the world, though chaotic at times, was held together by invisible threads, by perfect symmetry? That all things, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, had their place in the grand design and the myths. Oh, the myths that swirled around Pythagoras, stories so fantastical. They seemed like something out of a dream. They say that he could speak with animals. Yes, that he understood their language. Picture it now. Pythagoras, standing in a meadow, surrounded by the sound of bird song. the rustling of the leaves, the gentle bleating of sheep. With a soft, kind word, he would calm the creatures around him, and they would listen, as if they too understood the wisdom in his voice. Can you hear the whispers of the animals, their soft murmurs blending with the wind? Can you feel the peaceful harmony between man and nature? It's as though the world itself was listening to him. One of the most beautiful stories told about him is the tale of the sacred geometry that he uncovered: the circle, the square, the triangle. These were not just shapes. No, to Pythagoras, they were symbols of something far greater. The circle, for example, was perfection, endless, without beginning or end, a symbol of the eternal cycle of life. Can you feel the quiet beauty of the circle in your mind? Round and unbroken, a reflection of the unchanging nature of the soul. There were those who followed Pythagoras with unwavering devotion. His followers, known as the Pythagoreans, formed a community that lived by strict rules. They believed in purity of mind, body, and spirit. They avoided the consumption of beans. Yes, they believed that beans contained the souls of the dead. They lived in harmony, seeking to purify themselves through mathematics, music, and meditation. Their lives were dedicated to seeking wisdom, to understanding the hidden patterns of the universe, to becoming one with the divine. And in the quiet moments of their lives, they would gather together, their hearts beating in unison, their minds attuned to the divine music of the sphere. They would chant, their voices rising in a sacred melody as they meditated on the mysteries of the universe. In those moments, time itself seemed to slow, and the world around them seemed to fade away. They were lost in the beauty of the truth that Pythagoras had shown them, a truth that transcended time and space, a truth that connected all things. Ah, how calm and peaceful it must have been to be in the presence of such wisdom, to be a part of that sacred community. Imagine the soft rustle of robes as they moved through their daily lives, the quiet murmur of their voices as they shared their knowledge, the serene expressions on their faces as they meditated on the divine order of the cosmos. In the stillness of those moments, Pythagoras' teachings lived on. And though the centuries have passed and the world has changed, his legacy still echoes in the hearts of those who seek to understand the universe. His teachings, his wisdom, his connection to the divine, these things remain. The music of the spheres, the sacred geometry, the harmony of the world, they are all still here, waiting to be discovered by those who listen, who see, who feel. As Pythagoras grew older, his mind became not just a vessel for logic and numbers, but also a deep well of mystical thought. He believed that mathematics was not merely a tool for understanding the world, but a gateway to understanding the very essence of the soul and the divine order of the universe. To him, numbers were more than symbols. They were the very language of creation. He often spoke of the harmony that existed between the physical world and the divine world. A harmony that could only be unlocked through the study of numbers, music, and the soul. In the quiet of his later years, when the teachings of his youth had spread far and wide, Pythagoras would ponder the idea that everything in existence was tied together by a divine mathematical order, an invisible web that connected the heavens to the earth, the stars to the souls of men. Pythagoras taught his followers that the universe itself was a reflection of the divine harmony. The music of the spheres, he believed, was the celestial sound created by the planets and stars as they moved through the heaven. It was a beautiful, perfect harmony that, although inaudible to the human ear, could be understood through the study of geometry and musical intervals. He often spoke of the number 1, which he considered the source of all existence, and the number 2, which symbolized duality and balance. From there, the numbers flowed, each with its own meaning, each holding a key to the mysteries of life. The perfect number was seen in the harmony of a well-tuned string, the vibrations of a note that resonated with the soul, creating a sense of peace and wholeness. In his later years, Pythagoras also embraced the idea that the soul was immortal, existing beyond the boundaries of life and death. He believed that the soul, through its connection to the divine, was continually seeking knowledge and purification. The pursuit of wisdom through the study of mathematics and music was not merely an intellectual exercise, but a spiritual journey, one that led the soul toward enlightenment, closer to the harmony of the universe. His teachings on the soul were simple yet profound. He taught his disciples that the soul could transcend the mortal world, reaching higher planes of existence through purity, wisdom, and understanding. And through this understanding, a person could truly begin to see the connection between all things. The numbers, the music, the stars, the earth, and the divine. In his final days, surrounded by the quiet of his beloved school, Pythagoras knew that his journey was coming to an end. But even as his body grew weaker, his mind remained as sharp as ever, immersed in the profound beauty of his philosophy. He had sought to teach not just about numbers and music, but about the deeper truth of existence. That everything is connected. That the world is more than the sum of its parts. And as he prepared to leave this life, Pythagoras knew that his legacy would live on, carried in the hearts and minds of those who had embraced his vision. The soft murmur of the wind outside carries with it the gentle whispers of the universe, as though nature itself hums a song that has been playing since the beginning of time. In the quiet stillness of Pythagoras' world, where the light from the oil lamps flickers softly against the stone walls, he listens. He listens to the rhythms of the world around him, the rustling of the trees, the hum of the earth beneath his feet, and it is then that he discovers something beautiful, something profound, a connection between the music of the universe and the very fabric of existence itself. He finds that every sound, every note that fills the air, has its own pattern, its own ratio. The vibrations of the strings, when they are stretched and plucked, create harmonies that resonate with the soul itself. The simple mathematical ratios of 2013, 243. These numbers are not just figures on a page. No, they are the very essence of sound, of music. As one string vibrates and another vibrates at a different length, the music plays, creating a divine harmony, a note, a sound, a vibration, everything in perfect order. Pythagoras sees the world as a vast symphony. The stars above, the planets in their orbits, even the earth beneath his feet. Everything moves to a rhythm, to a melody that transcends time. The universe, he believes, is not random or chaotic, but rather a grand, orderly composition. Every object, every living being, every breath in the air follows its own melody, an intricate dance of sound and silence. And in that, Pythagoras finds peace. He understands that the divine is not hidden somewhere distant, but instead woven into the very music of existence itself. Each note, each vibration, carries with it a sense of completeness. The universe sings a song that is both simple and infinite, filling the air with a calm, that resonates deep within the heart. The sound of the lyre in the distance, the soft hum of a breeze. These are the songs of the cosmos, and in them Pythagoras finds the unity of mathematics and music. He is at peace, knowing that these are not separate, but one. The numbers that shape the world, the ratios that govern life, are the same numbers that shape the music of the spheres, the soul's journey. As the quiet hum of the world surrounds him, Pythagoras begins to ponder another mystery: the soul. The world, with its music, is a place of eternal cycles, where everything is in constant movement. And so too is the soul. It is not bound by time, nor by the limits of the body. The soul is eternal, moving through the realms of existence, never still, always learning, always growing. It journeys from one body to another, finding new experiences, new lessons, new paths toward enlightenment. Pythagoras, in his quiet contemplation, feels the deep truth of this belief. He understands that life is not a singular journey, but a continuous flow, an endless cycle of rebirth. The soul is free, unbound by the constraints of time, traveling from one life to another, seeking understanding, seeking purity. And with each life, the soul draws closer to wisdom, to a deeper understanding of the divine order of the universe. In this peaceful, sacred stillness, Pythagoras reflects on the purity of the soul. He knows that it is not enough to live a life of the body alone. One must live in harmony with the world around them, with the music of the cosmos, in order to purify the soul. It is through harmony, through balance, that the soul can be freed from the cycle of reincarnation. It is through kindness, through compassion, through the purity of thought and action, that the soul grows closer to the divine. The air is thick with the quiet understanding that every living being is connected. Humans, animals, plants, all are part of the same cosmic order. The soul of an animal, like the soul of a man, is on its own journey, learning and growing, seeking a deeper connection to the divine. In the stillness of the temple, Pythagoras feels this truth deeply. His teachings about kindness to all creatures, about living in harmony with the world, are born from this understanding. For in the end, the soul seeks peace, and the peace it seeks is found in the harmony of the universe. The world is quiet now, and the air is filled with a sense of timeless calm. The music of the spheres, the eternal rhythm of the universe, plays softly in the distance. Pythagoras sits in this stillness, his thoughts intertwined with the melodies of the world, knowing that the journey of the soul, like the music that fills the air, is one of eternal return, of eternal growth. And in this quiet understanding, there is peace. The peace of a soul that knows its path, the peace of a mind at rest, the peace of a heart in tune with the cosmos. As Pythagoras sits in the soft glow of the flickering lanterns, the world around him seems to slow, each moment stretching into eternity. The sounds of the world, distant whispers of the wind, the gentle rustle of leaves, the soft hum of the earth beneath, become part of the symphony that plays quietly in his mind. Everything is connected. Every whisper, every breath, every movement in the universe follows its own rhythm, its own pattern. And Pythagoras knows that this music is not just for the ear to hear, but for the soul to feel. The stars above, twinkling softly in the night sky, dance to their own tune. Each planet, each star in its orbit moves with perfect harmony, and in this delicate balance, Pythagoras sees the divine order of the universe. He understands that the music of the spheres is not just a metaphor. It is the very truth of existence. The numbers, the ratios, the patterns, these are the building blocks of the world. They are the very essence of life itself. They are the language of the cosmos. Pythagoras feels the truth of this deeply, like a peaceful wave that washes over him. His mind, clear and calm, drifts toward a realization, an understanding mathematics and music are one and the same. Each note, each interval, is a reflection of the divine order. The perfect ratios that govern sound also govern the very structure of the world. And in this, there is no separation. The world, the soul, and the music are all intertwined, flowing together in a symphony that transcends time. As he reflects on this truth, Pythagoras realizes that the pursuit of knowledge is not a solitary journey. It is a journey of unity, of connection. Every discovery, every insight brings him closer to the divine. The pursuit of understanding is a way of listening to the music of the universe, of attuning oneself to its eternal rhythm. And in that quiet listening, Pythagoras finds peace. He finds that the search for knowledge is not about finding answers, but about deepening the understanding of the connection between all things. Pythagoras' thoughts now turn to the soul, that eternal traveler that journeys through time and space, never bound by the confines of the physical world. He knows that the soul is not just a part of the body, but something far greater. It is a spark of the divine, a fragment of the eternal, moving through countless lives, seeking wisdom, understanding, and ultimately peace. The soul's journey is not one of linear time, but of cycles, of rebirth and growth. With each life, the soul moves closer to the light, closer to understanding its place in the grand order of the universe. It is not confined to a single body, but moves from one vessel to another, always seeking, always learning, always evolving. The experiences of each life are the lessons that the soul needs to grow, to reach its true potential. And in this quiet, reflective moment, Pythagoras knows that the key to the soul's journey lies in harmony. The soul must live in harmony with the world around it, with the rhythms of the universe, with the music of the sphere. It is through this harmony that the soul finds peace. And it is through this peace that the soul is freed from the endless cycle of reincarnation. The soul, Pythagoras believes, is not bound by time, but moves through eternity, learning, growing, and seeking a deeper connection with the divine. And in this quiet understanding, Pythagoras feels the weight of his teaching. His philosophy is not just about numbers or music. It is about life itself. It is about understanding the deep connection between all things, and about living in harmony with the divine order of the universe. The night grows quiet around him, and the music of the spheres plays softly in the distance. Pythagoras sits in peaceful contemplation, his thoughts swirling like the gentle movement of the stars above. The universe is vast, but in its quiet rhythms, in its perfect harmony, he finds peace. The journey of the soul, the pursuit of knowledge, the dance of music and mathematics, they are all one. And in this understanding, Pythagoras finds his place within the grand symphony of the cosmos. As he closes his eyes, he can hear the soft hum of the universe. It is a sound that fills him with a deep, unshakable peace, a peace that reaches down into the depths of his soul. The world is in perfect order, and he is a part of it, a small but vital note in the eternal music of existence. In this quiet, serene moment, Pythagoras knows that his work, his teachings, are not just about numbers or music. They are about understanding the deep connection between all things. They are about the journey of the soul, about the search for peace, for harmony, for the divine. And in that quiet understanding, Pythagoras feels the eternal rhythm of the universe, a rhythm that moves through him and through all things. As the years passed and the quiet temple, where Pythagoras had once sat in deep contemplation, grew silent, his family carried the weight of his legacy. His wife, Theano, whom he had cherished and respected, remained steadfast in preserving the teachings and wisdom he had imparted to the world. Though grief lingered in her heart, she understood the importance of continuing the work Pythagoras had begun. She, too, had been a student of his teachings, and now, in his absence, she became a beacon for the followers who remained. Theano took charge of the Pythagorean school, nurturing the students who came from near and far, eager to learn from the great master's legacy. She was not just a wife, but a philosopher in her own right, a woman who understood the language of numbers and the harmony of the universe. Under her guidance, the teachings of Pythagoras continued to flourish, and the school grew even more renowned, its walls filled with the quiet hum of study of minds seeking truth. Pythagoras' sons, too, carried the torch of their father's wisdom. His son Pelagus became an important figure within the Pythagorean community, furthering his father's ideas and ensuring that they were passed down through the generation. Although Pelagus was still young when Pythagoras passed, the teachings of the great philosopher were ingrained in him, as they were in all who were touched by his wisdom. Pelagus, like his father, became known for his deep understanding of the natural world, of the mathematics that governed the heavens and the earth, and of the music that bound all things together. The Pythagorean community, now a small but powerful group of thinkers, continued to honor the memory of the man who had unlocked so many of the secrets of the universe. Though Pythagoras was gone, his ideas lived on, echoed in the teachings of those he had touched. But beyond the family, beyond the school, the discoveries of Pythagoras rippled through the fabric of time. His insights into mathematics and music, into the relationship between numbers and the natural world, became the foundation for centuries of thought. The Pythagorean theorem, the idea that the square of the hypotenuse in a right-angled triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides, became one of the most celebrated principles in all of mathematics, a testament to his understanding of the world. But it was not just his theorem that endured. The idea of harmony, of the relationship between numbers and the music of the spheres, continued to influence thinkers for generations. The belief that the universe itself was governed by a perfect mathematical order, by ratios, proportions, Pythagoras' vision of a cosmos in which everything was connected by numbers and music echoed through the works of later philosophers, mathematicians, and scientists, shaping the very way humanity viewed the universe. His concept of the soul, of the eternal nature of existence, continued to inspire those who sought to understand the deeper mysteries of life. Pythagoras' belief that the soul was immortal, that it could be purified through the pursuit of knowledge and harmony, found its way into the spiritual teachings of future generations. His influence could be seen in the works of Plato, who spoke of the soul and the cosmos in ways that echoed Pythagoras' teachings. But perhaps Pythagoras' most enduring gift to the world was the idea that everything is connected, that the natural world, the heavens, and the human soul are all bound together by a single harmonious order. It was a vision that transcended time, a vision that would shape not only the fields of mathematics and science, but also art, music, and philosophy. And so, though Pythagoras had passed from this world, his legacy lived on through his family, his disciples, and his discovery. The rhythms of the universe continued to hum like the soft, eternal music of the spheres, forever carrying the wisdom of the man who had once listened so intently to the world around him. In the centuries that followed, people would remember him not just as a mathematician, but as a visionary who had seen the connections between all things. The one who had heard the music that underlies the universe and shared that music with the world. And as the years turned to centuries, Pythagoras' name would echo through the corridors of history, his ideas forever intertwined with the fabric of human thought, like the notes of a song that never ends. As the years passed, the world continued to speak of Pythagoras' work, his discoveries echoing through the ages, his legacy like the quiet rhythm of a heart that beats long after it has ceased, remain. But beyond the theories, the numbers and the shapes, there was something deeper, an understanding of the divine harmony that courses through all creation. It is said that God, in his infinite wisdom, created the world with a perfect order, a symphony of truth and beauty. Pythagoras, in his quest for understanding, caught but a glimpse of this truth, revealing a small part of the grand design. And now, as the stars continue to twinkle above the ancient lands where Pythagoras once walked, his soul, like all of ours, rests in the hands of God. For it is written in the book of Matthew, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. As you drift into sleep tonight, may you find peace in the knowledge that, like Pythagoras, you too are part of a greater design. Rest in God's arms, knowing that his love and order surround you, just as they once surrounded Pythagoras, guiding him through his life and his discoveries. Good night, my friend. May the Lord bless you, keep you, and grant you his peace.